This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Backwater Truck Supply, located at 100 Armor Creek Road in Nitro, West Virginia, right across from the Town and Country Supply. Contact them today at 304-610-8699 or check them out at backwatertrucksupply.westvirginia.com. Backwater Truck Supply specializes in accessoring your ride to your liking, new or old. Does your Jeep or truck need lifted or leveling kit installed? They've got you covered. New tires or minor automotive repairs? They got you covered there as well, with a full-service lift along with a wheel balancing machine. They are affiliates with some of the top brands in the automotive industry. Contact them today at 304-610-8699 or check them out at backwatertrucksupply.westvirginia.com. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Tonight, I got co-host Dan Hall here with me, and we got special guest Grant Boies here from Williamsburg, Iowa. How you doing, Grant and Dan?
Good.
Doing well, Michael. Welcome to have you there, Grant.
Yeah, so we'll get right into it, Grant. You've been pro staffer with us here at Nature's Voice Game Calls and, you know, kind of been part of Nature's Voice Game Calls for about 5 years. And you've had some good success with our Timber Ghost Buck and Doe Grunter. And how'd that work out for you this year? I know you've gotten 2 nice bucks on the ground that I've seen.
Yeah, no, it's a great grunt call. I actually just thought about it. The bow buck that I killed, I missed him 3 days before I killed him, and I grunted him in from about 150 yards, grunted and rattled him in, and then I ended up missing him. I shot just low on him. I forgot to adjust my single pin sight, but no, that's still one of my favorite grunt calls of all time. After I switched to that, it's hard to, I couldn't imagine using any other grunt call at this point. So.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you over the years supporting us, and it's a very versatile call, easy to use. It's not something difficult. It's simple, and it definitely gets the job done.
Yeah, it definitely does. And that's great to hear that from your pro staffs. You don't hear it all the time. People don't leave you the reviews like that, but it's a simple grunt call, and the versatility of it is great, man. I love it.
Yep. Sure is, and we offer those in wood, and we offer them in polycarbonate as well. So tell us a little bit about those 2 hunts that you had this year.
So yeah, the first buck I killed this year's killed it during our early season muzzleloader here in Iowa, which started October 15th, and that's the day I killed this buck. First time in the tree stand this year, killed him. We actually had some trail cam pictures of him 10 days before. Yeah, 10 days before we killed him. I think it was October 5th, the morning of October 5th, and the evening of October 6th, maybe. But they were both daylight pictures 10 yards from one of my tree stands on the edge of a cornfield. So we knew he was right there real close. And then probably October 10th, the corn came out. They combined it that day. And then we had a couple pictures of him right at the end of legal shooting light, a couple minutes after, a couple minutes before. And then the day of October 15th, it was just, I think the pressure almost bottomed out that day. It got down to 29.6 or 29.7. It got real low. And I actually told Zach on our way out, I'm like, we're going to see a shooter buck tonight with this pressure bottoming out like this.
Yeah.
And we first saw him 2 hours before the end of legal shooting light. He was out eating already. He was about 300 yards away, and then he worked down into a pond, and we couldn't see him for an hour. And then with about 15 minutes left of legal shooting light, all these does just start piling out of where he was at, and we could see a 3-year-old. This 3-year-old kept squaring up to every buck in the field.
Oh wow.
And I was watching him. He was looking over the hill, and he just went from all swollen up to he was scared. You could just see it in his body language. Just it changed. I'm no longer the big boy in the field. And I told Zach immediately. I was like, okay, something big's about to come up over that hill. And sure enough, 5 seconds later, he came up over the hill. And when we shot him, there was 15 minutes left of legal shooting light, and I think he was 85 yards out. So that's pretty cool.
Man, that's awesome. That's really good. Good feeling, especially when you see that little doe that's been trying to push everything, or little buck that's been trying to push everything around, change his demeanor because he knows, oh, granddad's here.
Yeah.
Better shut her down.
Yeah, and it was instant. You could see him. He was all swollen up, and then it was just, he went back to being, looking like a 3-year-old again. And yeah, it was cool to see.
Yeah, so that wasn't your only big buck you killed this year, was it?
No, what was it? November, no, October 30th, went into one of our farms that I hadn't hunted yet this year and pulled a couple of trail cameras. And the buck I planned on hunting on that farm, he broke off right after his brow tine on his left side. He was 100, mid 170s 10 point that I planned on hunting, but he broke off right after the brow tine. So ended up not hunting him, but this 8 point that I knew from last year showed back up, and he was daylighting at a scrape almost every day right next to my tree stand. So we went in, and my very first hunt for him, I hunted a different tree stand. I was getting pictures of him right at sunset at my one stand, but I figured in the mornings he was going over by one of my other ones, and sure enough, it was 15 minutes into the morning, and I looked up, and he was standing out in the CRP, and he was just kind of up. He was up there squaring up to all these little 2-year-olds that kept coming into the CRP. So I grunted at him and did just a little light rattle, grunted, snort, wheezed, and it was on a dime. He turned and started walking down, and it's like a ridge top that runs down into the timber. I'm down in a valley, and there's a finger that comes here, or a finger that comes from the left, and a finger that comes from the right. And he came down, he got right in that Y. He was probably 30 yards from me, but a bunch of willows, can't shoot right there. And he started to walk to my left, which would have been to my north, and the wind was out of the north that morning. So I was like, oh, perfect. He's going to, stay upwind. Right as he started to walk into the timber, he turned back to the right, and ended up catching my scent, turned, and I missed him at 40 yards. I think I had my pin set at 25. That was Halloween morning. And then went back in.
Oh, wow.
Went back in 3 days later on November 3rd, just let it cool off. Went back in on November 3rd. It was 78 degrees that day. So I sat next to a pond and killed him with probably 5 minutes to spare of shooting light.
Yeah, and like a 12-yard shot, man. He come in close for you, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a 12-yard shot. It was actually a really tough shot just because of how, close in he was and having to shoot down like that.
Yeah, how high up was you? Was you about, you get about 20, 25 feet?
Yeah, it was probably, somewhere in between 20 and 25. But then, I was standing up when I shot because I had to shoot over a limb. So right there, the bow is shooting from 29 feet up in the air, you got to figure.
Yeah, man, that's a pretty good angle there that you're shooting at, So out of the two, which is one of your favorite hunts? I know the one there in October, that one's more non-typical, kind of got some kickers and forks coming off of him. Yeah,
definitely the muzzleloader buck. He ended up at 186. I actually wrote down some of his measurements before this started so I could remember it, just to kind of reference. But his main beams were both, the one was like 24 and a half, the other one's 25. 12-inch G2s. His right side has 25 inches of abnormal scoreable points on there. So altogether, he's got 30 inches of extra tine length.
Dang, that's nuts, man.
Between his drop tines and his kickers. And so, yeah, I mean, he's a 150-inch mainframe deer that's 186.
Man, that's a massive deer. Scores up there too, man.
Yep. Well, and what's crazy too, you'll see, you guys have seen my bow buck, just a spindly 8-point, real long main beam, real good twos, and he ended up at 152. And if you hold him in your hand, you're like, I don't know. But all that tine length, because
nice.
That 8-point, he ended up with 26-inch main beams. And that alone, you're you're over halfway to 100.
Yeah, that's true. So that bow kill at 12 yards there, what's your bow of choice? We've got people we've talked to, Matthews, Bowtech, Hoyt. What are you shooting now?
So we're shooting Expedition through the Hit Squad Outdoors. They're our current bow sponsor, and it's a great bow. I'm shooting the MX32. It's a fast bow. That's definitely the fastest bow I've ever shot.
Really?
Yeah. But I've always been before that, I always shot Matthews bows, and it's not, those aren't your speed bows. So.
Yeah. Cool. So that's meaning it's 32 axle to axle.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what the MX32 is. 32-inch axle to axle.
I've always liked the short bow. I've never really liked the long bow, in my opinion.
A little bit less forgiving, but you mentioned there Hit Squad. That's kind of your main thing there. You're part of our pro staff, but that's who you hunt with and everything, and hunt Hit Squad Outdoors. Why don't you tell us a little bit how you got into that and a little bit about Hit Squad there?
Yeah, so it's Hit Squad Outdoors with Tim Sylvia. Tim Sylvia is the host. He's the main guy. So probably 6-7 years ago, I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. It was 6 or 7 years ago. Tim was looking for a cameraman at his farm for opening weekend in Iowa. And I know how to run a video camera, so I messaged him. I was like, hey, I'm available this weekend. I live, not too far away. I can come down and video for you. And over the years, just been periodically filming with him. We went to Kansas turkey hunting a couple times. Did a lot of deer hunting at his farm. I haven't gone anywhere with him deer hunting, but always went down to his farm to video for him, help him do work around the farm and everything. And then this year, me and Zach Jacoby joined the TV show.
No, I'm not so sure, but are you allowed to mention his name without mentioning that he's a 5-time UFC world heavyweight champion?
Yeah, that kind of goes with it.
Yeah.
Oh man, watching him fight, man, that's just crazy. He's a beast.
Oh, he is. He's always been one of my favorites back in the day when he was coming out, man. He was awesome.
Yeah, he's always been one of my favorites to watch too. I was real sad there when he stopped fighting, but it is what it is, but we've connected through social a couple times, and like I was talking to Grant there earlier, he's used our turkey calls and things. He's had some success with our turkey calls, but seems like a great guy, real down to earth. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better guy to be in outdoors with. I would say you could vouch for that, Grant.
Oh yeah, and that's what's great. When he was in the UFC, I was a little kid. I didn't watch the UFC then, so I know Tim as the hunter, not as the fighter.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
So, but that's yeah, it is cool to be able to say, yeah, we were with a UFC fighter. That's who we video with. But yeah, to us, that's Tim. So.
Yeah.
Now, does he actually use a bow and arrow or get shotgun or rifle, or does he just go out there and beat the crap out of them?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But that's what's hilarious too. You see every deer in the picture with him, and he's a big guy. I don't know exactly how tall he is, 6'7", 6'8", but he's a big, just broad guy. And sitting in the tree stands with him, I'm on the other side of the tree. If he moves his foot, I know it. We could be in a big old oak tree.
That's crazy.
But yeah, and some of his tree choices, it's like, are you sure you want to be putting yourself in that tree, Tim? But it's
yeah. Both of you guys in that tree, that thing barely a little bit of wind comes by, you guys are swaying.
He's got to stand in a cedar tree that's, I don't know, 8 inches wide. I don't know how the tree doesn't break.
That's crazy. So, I mean, that's an awesome opportunity that you get to be the guy that films his hunts and stuff. I mean, that's awesome that you all made that connection, and how you're saying that you don't know him as the guy that used to fight in UFC. I think it's just awesome that he has both of those realms where he's, got people's attention and, things like that. I think it's cool. The following in both arenas,
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely cool to, definitely cool to see him, out hunting. He's a good ambassador for it. He's a good ambassador for the industry, for hunting in general. It's, yeah, he brings that cross reference, or not cross reference, but you get what I'm saying. All the
Yeah, I got you.
like hunting or don't know much.
Yep. Yeah, he's definitely involved in the outdoors a lot. I know, like you're saying there, he farms, does a lot of work there on his farm and stuff, and, food plots and different things like that. He's definitely, an advocate for the outdoors and the industry itself,
Yeah, most definitely. And gosh, yeah, it's when you see him in pictures with those deer, every deer looks like it's got a tiny body, or the deer looks like it's got a small rack. It could be a 150-inch deer, and it looks 120 inches with him behind it.
Yeah, that's when I was looking at that one the other day that he just recently killed, and man, that's a big deer. It's got a nice size rack on it, and it looks small compared to him beside of it.
Well, the man's got huge hands. He's holding a big rack, but them hands just make it look so small.
Yeah, can you imagine that fist coming up against your face?
But
yep. So, another thing we like to do here on this podcast is our salute to valor. Tonight, we're going to salute Briar Hall from Webster Springs, West Virginia. He served in the United States Air Force as an airman first class. He is presently in active duty, stationed in South Korea, and that was his first tour station, actually. He's been in for 2 weeks, been there for 2 weeks as of yesterday. So
yeah, 2 weeks. That's what his mom was telling me.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So that's why you join. A lot of people join to see the world, and he's definitely getting a chance to see the world. So we just want to thank you for your service, Briar, and we want to bless you there.
Yeah, I mean, young man like that getting into the military, going on his first tour. He's going to be stationed over there for 12 months. His mom's a wreck, and we think it's an awesome thing and an achievement for him to be able to get in there and do that. He went in and finished basic right out of high school, and then from basic he went to AIT, I believe it is, and then right after that he come home for Thanksgiving, and 2 weeks later he's gone for 12 months. So you can only imagine. I mean, that's what our men and women in our military do for our country and our freedom. So we just want to thank them and give them all the, recognition that they deserve.
Absolutely. It's definitely a different lifestyle choice. It's not for the faint of heart. You almost have to be dedicated to it. Kind of like, hunting. It's a dedication thing.
Oh yeah. It's got to be a lot.
Yeah, it definitely amazing I can do that. I wouldn't be able to be away from home for that long, let alone I'm not that tough either. So
I hear you. Well, let's talk about some of your all sponsors that you all have there at Hit Squad. Like you said, you're all hooked up with Expedition Archery, Tacticam Reveal, Vortex, couple things like that. So just tell us about some of those great products that you all use.
Yeah, so this year we're with like our clothing was through Element, Realtree, but Element Outdoors, some real good clothing, and then Vortex obviously, and that was a game changer for me. The Vortex, just being able to have that clear of optics. Yeah, I wasn't used to that. I'm just a poor guy that uses cheap binos, but it's a huge difference. And one of the things I'm really looking forward to with the Vortex is come shed hunting. I'm a big shed hunter, and being able to spot, an inch of tine sticking out from 200 yards, it's going to be a lot easier now.
Yeah, definitely. I hear you. Those are some amazing binoculars for sure.
That and their spotting scopes, those are real nice too. I know we don't really have the need back here where we're at for the spotting scope, but you guys definitely comes in handy for you guys.
Yeah, I don't use a spotting scope a whole lot myself. Where I hunt, I could probably use one for when I'm out scouting, but in general, 10 by 42 binoculars work just fine. And then, yeah, some of our others, Black Eagle arrows, those have been real good. I've been shooting those personally for 4 or 5 years now myself. Even before I was on the show, I've been shooting those arrows. So, and shooting the same arrows. I shoot the Zombie Slayer arrows, and those have always treated me well. I'm trying to think of a couple others we got.
Yeah, we hear a lot of good stuff about Black Eagle arrows. We had Jeremy Jarrett on, Olympic archer, and he's won several world champions, and he swears up and down by them.
Yeah, I've had great luck with them so far. They're in, a lot of the deer I shoot, I don't get pass through shots on a lot of deer. That's my luck. I don't get them. I use an expandable broadhead, so that probably has a lot to do with it. But
yeah,
I've had very few arrows break, and that's what's interesting.
Yep. Well, when it comes to pro archers and things like that, it's all about the straightness, and it's about the, just consistency, really,
So, yeah, one of the biggest things, for me with the arrows is, I don't know if I've noticed much as a hunter, you're not going to notice much of a difference between the .001 straightness and .003, but it's definitely nice to know that you can rely on it being a straighter arrow, even though
oh yeah, definitely.
You're not going to see the difference as a normal archer. I can't keep a group like that at 40 yards. So, and that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. But them guys that shoot those pro tournaments and stuff, man, they can tell. It's just crazy, the eye that they have for stuff like that, It's they look highly towards stuff like that. I know that he said that that's probably the he's not, he has an archery shop too, and he said that he's not had to send any of those packages of arrows back because none of them, were consistently matching with the straightness. So they were the most consistent company that he's ever offered.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to hear too. And I've always kind of felt the same way about it. It's just hearing it from somebody like that definitely makes sense.
So tell us a little bit about this Deer 30 Minerals there you guys are with.
So yeah, I believe they're out of Kentucky. I'm trying to remember who the owners are, but yeah, I've been using their minerals too now for a couple of years. I've been using their mineral, but that's definitely something I believe everybody should be doing on their own farm, is using mineral as much as possible. In Iowa, you can't hunt over it, and you can't be within so many yards or whatever the case may be. But yeah, my dog's barking in the background. So
that's so funny. I heard your dog over the headphones here, and I had my mic on mute, and I'm like, shut up. I think it sounded just like my dog, Duke. That's so funny.
Yeah, she was doing good that whole time. I'm guessing somebody must have walked by. She's in the living room just napping on the couch. She must have had her hard day, but
yeah, she hears you back there talking, and she's like, Dad, what are you doing?
Yeah. But no, I think every deer hunter should be using mineral if it's legal to use where they are. You can see a difference from farm to farm on people that use it and who don't. And especially for fawn health, people don't think about all the fawn health, the does as they're nursing, just added mineral to the milk, and it all adds up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of people think it's just for the antlers. It's not just for the antlers. Obviously, that is an aspect of it, but, the mass of the deer, body weight, different things like that, that all comes into play when it, especially with the does, like you're saying, nurturing their young ones, and you're starting, a good gene of things there with good nutrients, good minerals, and things like that, stuff that they're not getting on a daily basis where they're in their area.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Some of the farms I hunt are only 3 miles apart, 4 miles apart. So where I killed my 2 bucks this year, they're 4 miles apart. You can see a clear body difference size on those 2 farms, and they're only 4 miles apart. Eating,
yeah.
Both farms are in Iowa. They're both eating corn. They're both eating beans. Same amount of pressure. But one of the things that I noticed a few years ago, so the one farm's new for me. This was my 3rd year hunting it. This was the first year I was going to shoot a buck off of it. Was first the age structure. There was no age structure on this farm. The oldest buck I saw the first 2 years was 2 and 3 year olds. And then this year there were several mature bucks. But even the mature bucks this year, their bodies just weren't the same because they didn't have that mineral when they were when they were fawns. So you can see that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I'm sure you can. I mean, I'm sure it's a big difference.
Talking about in Iowa, not allowed hunting over baits and stuff. How would that work? Like if you're hunting an edge of a soybean field or cornfield, and they just happen to leave 3 or 4 or 6 rows up there at the end of it. Is that legal for you guys or no?
Yeah, we can leave, hunters can leave standing beans and corn if they want to. I know a lot of guys that, the farms that they hunt, they'll pay the farmer whatever it costs to keep 1 acre in front of their tree stand, and that's all legal.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of curious on that because you'd said you're not allowed to hunt within so many yards or whatever of baits. So I was like, well, I wonder how that would work if you're hunting a field that's harvestable, can you leave it, or is that illegal too? So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, baiting laws are kind of weird. It's one thing to know, okay, there's a pile of corn or a pile of beans in front of a stand, and you can go, yes, that's baiting. But where it gets tricky is with the mineral sites. There's no like clear law on it. You can't hunt over them, and the deer's movement isn't to be affected by that mineral site. But how somebody proves a deer's movement was because of a mineral site, I don't know how they're going to say that. So
yeah,
all my mineral sites are plenty far away enough from my stands that I don't even think about it. But yeah, I'm not sure. I know there was that real big, it was a early muzzleloader buck, probably 8 years ago, killed in southern Iowa, that the DNR took the guy's buck for hunting over mineral site, and he had just bought the farm earlier that year. I don't know the whole story, but they were able to prove that he had covered the mineral site with a tarp using a satellite image. And I don't know if it was the owner that had turned him in, like, hey, this blind right behind it's a mineral site. So
that's crazy.
Saying it was illegal, but
yeah, that's crazy.
Well, another thing that we like to do on our podcast is our verse of the day. So I think Dave has that ready to go.
Yes, sir. We got her coming live from the presses of God tonight. Let's see. We're coming from 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6 through 7. And this is actually out of the New King James tonight. It says, "Therefore I remind you to stir up the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." And, again, we always try to relate it to today. How does this relate to how I'm supposed to be living today, right? And I think he's saying, hey, make sure you're stirring that gift up that God gave you, whatever it may be. And if you're in fear about something, if you're afraid to face something, afraid to tell the truth in an area, or afraid to tackle a project or whatever it is, he's saying, hey, I didn't give you a spirit of fear. I gave you a spirit of power and love and a sound mind. So that's what he wants us to live in. That's what he wants us to operate in on a day-to-day basis. I just thought that was really pertinent for today.
All right, Dave, thank you for doing that to verse of the day there. You always do a good job with that. So, Grant, we was talking there a little bit ago. You've really got an on-point mustache going on there, bud. You sure you don't work for the fire department?
Yeah, it's crazy. I always used to have a goatee, but then 2 years ago, once COVID hit, I was like, you know what? Wearing a mask, let's go ahead and try out the mustache, just in case I look like a complete idiot. Nobody will know. So went with that. It was actually quite funny once the masks came off and I was at work and everybody saw I now had a mustache, everybody's reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim used to have a big mustache like that, and when you first come on tonight, I was like, is that Tim?
Yeah, I can't grow a beard, so grow a mustache.
Hey, whatever works. Nothing wrong with the old stash.
Definitely get plenty of questions about it everywhere I go. It's always becomes a talking point somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Yep.
So, just to come back around there, what's your guys' plans there for the remainder of the year and going into next year with Hit Squad, and also for you and your season's coming up?
Yeah, so after I finished up in Iowa November 3rd, you get 2 sex tags. So I was done in Iowa after November 3rd. So I bought a gun tag for Missouri. I'm not too far from Missouri, and I've got uh, we know some people down there that let me hunt and everything. So went down there for rifle season and saw a good one. Saw a real nice 8-point when I was down there that I would have shot, but no luck there. So I might that gun tag I can use for their muzzleloader season, which starts right around Christmas. So I'll probably head back down for that for a hunt or two. It's a 10-day season. It's not very long, and it only covers like one weekend. It's not a very good date frame for the season, but I should be able to get a couple days in of hunting. And then after that, I do a lot of coyote hunting throughout the winter. I do a lot of coyote calling. I'm big into that. So I'll just do that out where we hunt, do a lot of coyote calling. And then come spring, I'm probably going to be heading out to Nebraska for turkey season and Missouri and possibly Kansas. I'll see how my luck's going.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know both you guys, you and Tim, I know you all like to turkey hunt as well. Do you do any waterfowl hunting out there?
I don't. I used to. So I lived out in South Dakota for a fall, and I was, right in the middle of the flyway, and we did a lot of waterfowl hunting.
Yeah.
I think their goose season started up. If I remember right, it was right at the beginning of September. We did, we goose hunted every day till teal season started, and then we started duck hunting every single day. I think I waterfowl hunted almost every single day for a month and a half, 2 months straight, it felt like. But
Wow.
Once I came back to Iowa, I haven't waterfowl hunted since.
Why's that?
It's hard to waterfowl hunt when you got giant deer you'd rather chase.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I mean, that
makes a good point.
Their deer instead of, the waterfowl hunting. But, most all states, even whether you're in a flyway or not, have some kind of waterfowl coming through there. But like you said, I'd much rather be hunting those big bucks.
Yeah, you get over on the west side of the state, duck hunting becomes a little bit bigger. East side of the state, along the rivers, the Missouri and Mississippi, there's a fair amount of water.
Yeah.
But yeah, in our area, people just don't really waterfowl hunt a whole lot. There are people that do, but it's just, like I said, not nearly as big here as in other states because of our deer hunting.
Yeah. Well, man, I think that's going to about do it for this evening. We appreciate you coming on and, filling us in on what all you got going on there with you filming at Hit Squad Outdoors. And, we thank you for your support over the years here at Nature's Voice. And, if you guys need anything, just let us know. And we'll keep watching out there. We keep following you on Facebook. Everybody be sure to check us out on Nature's Voice Game Calls page and On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls page there on Facebook. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, and Apple. Did I say that? Apple Podcast. We're on about every outlet that you can think of there. So we appreciate everybody listening and hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you all.
Yep, we appreciate you, Grant. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, just to let everybody know before you get off here, let everybody know where they can check out Hit Squad there. I know you all have a Facebook page, but website and things like that.
Yeah, I do believe it's hitsquadoutdoors.com, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's also Instagram page, Facebook page. A lot of people can follow Tim's personal account as well on Instagram. That's what most people, you're going to see the same posts on both. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. Yeah, you can find us on them. And then the TV show's on the Sportsman's Channel. I think season 8 comes out next fall, if I'm not mistaken, or next summer.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's what I was going to ask. What outlet channels there are you all on? So that is hitsquadoutdoors.com.
Yep. And like I said, I believe it's season 8 comes out this next year on the Sportsman's Channel.
Awesome. Well, we'll be sure to tune in and Like I said, we appreciate you coming on and appreciate your support over the years. So thank you, Grant.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for listening. This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Carts Towing and Timco Auto Transport. Local and long-distance towing, auto recovery, roadside assistance, auto lockouts, and jump starts. And they also do repossessions. Give them a call today at 304-949-2323 or 304-925-0858. Again, that's Carts Towing and Timco Auto Transport, 304-949-2323, 304-925-0858.